Hey everybody, my name is Stephanie Bree. This is my channel. Bear with me, I have to catch my breath because that last video really pissed me off and I was yelling at the camera. So, I apologize for that. So, now let's talk about a happy topic. Something I actually really like. Boy Meets World. I'm gonna touch on this spinoff, but I'm not gonna talk about it too much. Boy Meets World is a teen comedy, family, kids, teen comedy from the 90s that was a part of the ABC programming block TGIF, which was Thank God It's Friday. Which was a programming block where they just lumped together a bunch of shows that appealed to families and teens and kids. And just, the goal was you would just sit and watch all four shows together. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. But I was there for Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So, Boy Meets World as a TV series lasted for about 7 seasons. And it was produced by ABC. Well, it wasn't produced by ABC. I don't remember the name of the company that produced it, but it aired on ABC, and then eventually reruns found their way on the Disney Channel, and it is currently streaming on Disney Plus, or it was the last time I logged into Disney Plus, which is where I was watching it most recently. And yeah, this is a pretty good show. I love it. It stars, mostly it's about a boy named Corey Matthews and his best friend Sean Hunter and his brother Eric Matthews, his sometimes sister Morgan, and his mom and dad are occasionally a part of the show, and his next door neighbor slash teacher slash guidance counselor slash principal slash old man next door, the mentor, the old man, the wise old man next door, George Feeney. Other characters come and go. Topanga was a big part of the show, off and on, and then later more so than in the later seasons. Minkus was a fart that fizzled out after a couple of episodes. And then you had, Frankie Stachino, also known as Frankie the Enforcer, and his little partner buddy. And then you had the greaser, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. Harley Kiner, I think it was. And then you had other side characters that came and went. You had Mr. Turner, who was a big part of the show, and then he just disappeared and was never heard from or mentioned or seen again. It was kind of hinted that he may have died, which is debatable because there was a throwaway reference in the graduation episode where Minka said, "Hey, Mr. Turner, wait up." That could have been a different Mr. Turner. That doesn't confirm Mr. Turner was alive. Because Turner is a very popular name. If it had been Mr. Smith, I would have been like, you know what, that's probably a different Mr. Smith. There's no guarantee that's the same Mr. Smith. Same thing with Turner. Turner is just too popular of a name. Boy Meets World was targeted to preteens and teenagers, as well as younger children, and families. So it's light comedy. It's very childish in its presentation. And although it does have occasional special episodes that deal with issues, I would say harder issues sometimes, like child abuse or racism, or things of that sort, class warfare, things like that. These are topics that are touched on briefly in special episodes, but the overall tone of the show is happy-go-lucky. Everything works out in the end because it's a kid's sitcom. The dynamic is mostly Corey and his brother, and Corey and his girlfriend, and Corey and his parents, and Corey and Mr. Feeney, and Corey and Sean Hunter. So it centers around Corey and his relationships. But it actually devotes equal amount of time to each relationship, each episode and or season. So you get the Sean Hunter storyline, you get the Eric Matthews storyline, you get the Mr. Feeney storyline, you get the parents storyline, and you get the Topanga storyline every episode. And Corey is the glue that holds it all together, which is why it's called Boy Meets World. Now, I will argue Boy Meets World is not 7 seasons of the same sitcom. It is 7 seasons of 3 separate shows that share the same name. Season 1 and 2 of Boy Meets World are its own show. That is the early seasons. This is when he's in 6th grade and his first year of middle school. 7th grade, I guess. Or junior high. I can't remember if it was middle school or junior high. I know the distinction is like very subtle, but whatever. I think it was a junior high because he was in 7th and 8th grade at John Adams High. So there was I don't think it was a middle school. So anyways, I went to a middle school and a junior high. It's confusing, but it is what it is. The high school years, season 3, 4, and 5, are a totally separate show. It's different cast of characters, a different dynamic, different tone, different themes, different theme song. And it just feels like a totally different show than the first 2 seasons. And then you got season 6 and 7, which are the college years, which were more or less akin to the college years of Saved by the Bell, where it should have been a separate show, spin-off thing, but it wasn't, but it kind of was too. Because a lot of people quit watching during the college episodes. I kept watching just because I was hooked on the show and I needed to see Corey and Topanga get married because I'd gone along for the ride that far. But season 6 and 7 are kind of a mess because they really fuck with the timeline and reintroduce Sean Hunter's half-step-brother, whatever, even though they had already introduced his half-step-brother or whatever in a previous story arc that just had no bearing or consequence or relevance in the reintroduction, which it was like a whole new character and a whole new backstory and everything just changed. And Eric Matthews was always kind of a dork. He wasn't the cool kid, and he wasn't very smart. But he went from being kind of a dork to a complete fucking moron in season 6 and 7. It was a totally different character, and the college years are a totally different show. Different setting, different theme, different characters. You got Angela, you got the redhead, you got the dean, 2 deans, actually. They go back and forth. Some episodes, it's an elderly woman, and some episodes, it's the dick from The Breakfast Club. And they never really explain why the dean is a guy in some episodes and a woman in other episodes. They just don't explain it. It's just whatever's convenient for that episode, I guess. So, whatever. That's confusing and fucking annoying. The show was always a little silly and not very grounded in reality. It was mostly grounded in reality, but kind of like Saved by the Bell. It was exaggerated a lot because it was a TV show. So there's a lot of exaggerated storylines and things that wouldn't really happen in real life, but we go with it because it's fun. It's a fun show. I love Boy Meets World. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. It's one of the few TV shows I own every season on DVD. It's one of the few TV shows I watched on Disney Plus when I had Disney Plus. It's one of the few childhood TV shows I revisit because I think it still holds up to this day. Now, I did say I would briefly touch on the spinoff, Girl Meets World. All I'm going to say is you don't need to watch it. It's not relevant to anything. I don't know who it was for, and I don't know what was the point of it. I watched it because it was more Boy Meets World, allegedly. But again, it kind of undoes some of the stuff that was done in Boy Meets World. and kind of, I don't know, fucks with the timeline and some of the characters a little bit, and I didn't enjoy it. It was no good. I just didn't enjoy it, so I don't recommend it at all. But I love Boy Meets World. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on Disney Plus. You could probably find the DVDs relatively cheap. Um, there are other ways to get it, but it's a good show. Check it out. Stay cool.